Good evening, I'm Jeff Lyons. It is Monday, July the 20th, time for the 14First Alert Weather Show at 9 p.m. And thanks for joining. If you have joined, if not, and you get in here late, that's fine too. I'll ramble on and answer your questions that you put on the 14 News Facebook page comment section. So we'll get to those here in just a couple of minutes. As I said last night, I'll say it again, we have a triple threat for tomorrow. We have potentially bad air quality again because of the wildfire smoke. And we also have extreme heat on the way, with the heat index reaching 110 or greater tomorrow afternoon, just ahead of some severe thunderstorms with the potential for damaging winds. Quick check of the smoke part of the story, and we had pretty thick smoke over the tri-state this morning. Our air quality did get into that unhealthy designation for a couple of hours, but then the smoke lifted a bit to the north. As we look ahead, or look now, the smoke is actually sinking back into the tri-state, especially if you're watching up there in Fairfield, Vincennes, Lagodi, Washington, Petersburg, Jasper. You get the idea. North of here, Albany, Flora, Lawrenceville, Russellville, Birds. Anyway, if you're north, you have more of that smoke overhead and probably are seeing that haziness in the atmosphere. Looking ahead, behind the cold front, which will bring us severe weather potentially tomorrow afternoon, we could see another bout of smoke working through as northwest winds flush it back down out of Canada. So this air quality alert will probably come and go many times during the week ahead. That air quality alert will likely land in the unhealthy for sensitive groups. We're not quite far enough north where we're into that hazardous or unhealthy range. But still, if you've got breathing problems, anything like that, I don't have breathing problems, and I went out and worked in the yard today. It was very humid, and man, you could tell, you know, there was something in the air because it's a little harder to breathe, and you kind of get knocked out quicker. So just, you know, use a lot of caution. And if you've got issues, that just stay in. The heat index tomorrow will likely get above 110, and that is in the danger zone, especially if you're doing strenuous workouts and things and you're not properly hydrated or acclimated to the heat. So drink a lot of water, you know, common sense stuff here. Hopefully by now everybody knows to drink water. For Tuesday, tomorrow, the storm risk actually elevated there to a level 3 or enhanced from about Cincinnati all the way up into the East Coast. Here in the tri-state, we're still in that level 2, and the models, I'm going to show you those in a minute, but basically we will have a squall line that'll kind of develop and move to the southeast with the greater energy, wind shear and the like over here in the upper Ohio River Valley, closer to like Wheeling, West Virginia, and places like that. So that's where we would expect to see widespread damaging winds. Don't know if we will get a derecho out of it, certainly not out of the question to our east. Here in the tri-state, no, I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. And the tornado threat is at 2%, primarily for the eastern half of the tri-state. We get a 2% risk almost, not every time, but many times when we have severe thunderstorms possible. The damaging wind threat at about 15%, which is sort of the definition for the slight risk or level 2. So the bottom line with all of this is that it's going to be hot and humid to a point, probably around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Storms will move through and cool us off, and then that northwest wind, while bringing down cooler air, will also transport smoke back into the picture. Here's the hour by hour. I'm going to show you 2 tonight. Usually I pick. I don't like to have you try to decide, and I'll give you my reasoning on each one, why the model's showing what it is. First off, this is the, I believe this is the graph model, which is our in-house model, and it has not done a very good job at depicting anything with tomorrow with any consistency. It wants to develop the thunderstorms well to our south and push them on out and keep us mainly dry. And I don't think that's a reasonable solution here in the forecast. I think we're going to get thunderstorms here over the tri-state. Now, if you look at the HRRR model, the high resolution rapid refresh, and this updates every hour as well, it develops some storms probably from a decaying line to the north that'll move through in the morning. And then in the afternoon, at least it's a little better at depicting a line. I think the line will continue, though, across the tri-state. And both the models that I've looked at today continue to break the line. But I don't know. I have a feeling we'll get more than what we're seeing here in the models. Okay, so, I could be wrong. That's what forecasting's all about. But with the cold front coming in and pretty much a uniform drop in the temperature from 93 to 80 and the humidity and so forth, yeah, we're going to see thunderstorms here. And granted, the better dynamics in the atmosphere, wind shear, instability, and so forth, are to our east. But I still think we will ride the coattails in there on something tomorrow afternoon. Here's the complicating factor. There's always one of those in weather. It's rarely a slam dunk on any of these things. So here's what's going on to our north right now. We have a line of thunderstorms from about, we're going to call it Springfield, would be a little farther south, but near Springfield, and then it kind of comes up toward Des Moines. And we've had severe weather. Earlier we had tornado warnings on that. And you'll notice the line now has started to break up. You have stratiform rain, which is just that steady rain, non-severe, that surrounds or actually usually trails the lead edge of the thunderstorms. And so what that will probably do is fizzle out here in the next few hours and leave an outflow boundary across central Illinois. Tomorrow when the sun comes out, that will be the first thing to trigger some growth, upscale growth of thunderstorms, or at least towering cumulonimbus to start. And then develop thunderstorms, which will then organize and move down to the southeast. That is my thinking with how that will probably play out for tomorrow. So the impact on you is that you need to be prepared for some thunderstorms and maybe severe weather tomorrow afternoon, regardless of where you live here in the tri-state. 80 out there now, it feels like 84. The current temperature is pretty much in the 80s every place, 83 at Mount Vernon, Oakland City at 79, Dundee 79, but we're all pretty close. And feels like temperatures, at least nobody's above 100 here, and we still have that odd 95 showing in Owensboro. I think there's a problem with the observation there, the ASOS unit at the airport, because it is out of line with everybody else. You wouldn't have, unless the airport's on fire, you wouldn't have that looking like that. And that's not uncommon. Sometimes these sites go down and you'll get a weird data signature in there. Okay, we dropped to 71 this morning and we hit 92 this afternoon, which means our month now is dominated by 90-degree heat. So much so that our average high is now about 2.3 degrees warmer than normal, and we're about 2/3 of the way through the month. We also are lagging on rainfall all of a sudden, 2.22 inches at Evansville Regional. Many of you have had that much and more than what we recorded at the airport, but that's the official number. So especially if you live in Western Kentucky, you've gotten wave after wave of rain that didn't fall at the Evansville airport. For the month, we're kind of back to our old dry ways. Back in June, we hit a bunch of rain and wound up with 6.2 inches of extra rainfall. That was on the heels of a dry April and May. March kind of tided us over from January and February, and then November, December kind of stand back there as just a dry winter, even though we had 19 inches of snow. We had a lot of snow. Okay, and the drought monitor, I just wanted to show that again to illustrate that we really aren't in a drought classification despite the lighter rain amounts. There's one little area here in southern Illinois, kind of over toward Marion, that is abnormally dry. So very dry in the west. Of course, it's dry in Canada. That's why we had the fires. And our commute forecast for tomorrow, it's going to be sunny, humid again, with those thunderstorms popping during the afternoon. Look at the big picture. We have a low moving across Lake Superior. You can see the counterclockwise cloud cover up here, and then a cold front roughly across Wisconsin and Minnesota. And that's what is providing the trigger for the thunderstorms we see now. But there's also another trough back there. All of that stuff will be moving down our way during the day tomorrow. And then to our south, there's some drama as well. We have a storm in the Gulf right now, still a tropical depression. Actually, I take that back here. I guess at 9 o'clock it was updated to Tropical Storm Bertha. Now that's a minimal tropical storm with 40-mile-per-hour winds. The expected path for Bertha will affect the western panhandle here of Florida. So if you're well, actually, it'll be out of there. If you're planning to go down there this week, like to Panama City or Destin or somewhere, this will be long gone. But it should move along here by Mobile, Biloxi, and potentially bringing some heavy rain there into New Orleans as it moves east. And you see it kind of moves across southern Louisiana here in the Delta and then begins to weaken as a tropical depression. Now, just because it's a tropical depression doesn't mean it can't have impact. It could put down a ton of rain in Lake Charles and Port Arthur and even over toward Houston. So that bears watching, particularly if you have travel plans to the south later this week. But that would be more like New Orleans and going west. So again, back to my case here for a line of storms. There's the cold front position at 6 a.m. Tomorrow morning. Notice the wind shift here. You have southwesterlies across the tri-state, and then the wind's backing around here more to the northwest behind the front. So you would anticipate some lift and therefore some thunderstorms along that boundary. Now, this model, and again, this is the graph model, wanting to develop the thunderstorms early and then sweep the cold front through dry later in the day. I don't think that's reasonable. Now, I could be here tomorrow night eating crow, and we'll probably get a big turnout if I can find a crow to eat. But I just think we should anticipate some thunderstorms, a lot more than the model is showing right now. High pressure then builds in, and the remainder of the week from Wednesday through Saturday is just going to be perfect. Midsummer weather, temperatures in the low 80s, nighttime lows in the low 60s. Camping weather, I mean, I don't know who camps on a Wednesday night, but it'll be perfect for it weather-wise. And we keep the temperature below normal for 3 consecutive days. Then we start to move back up and get into the 90s and the humidity at the end of the week. Now, just because it's cool doesn't mean we won't still have that smoke as an issue at times. So we won't be able to escape that till the fires go out in Canada. GFS model, longer range here. This would be Friday, Saturday, showing some rain starting to move in Friday night and early Saturday, or at least a chance of it. And then we have another shot at rain perhaps early next week. The rain amounts showing up here at around, I believe it was an inch. They're going to show an inch. There it goes, about 3/4 of an inch across the tri-state. That would be for the whole week and just a smeared out average over the area. The European on the longer range also bringing some showers in late Friday night, early Saturday, and then maybe some additional rain coming up, or actually going down to the south there into Missouri on Saturday, Sunday, and then drying out next week. And predictably, the rainfall amounts are going to be a lot less on the European because of the fewer amounts of showers it was showing. 76 tonight, partly cloudy to be muggy, a little smoke out there, 93 tomorrow. And of course, it's a first alert weather day for the hazards I mentioned, smoke, heat, and storms. And then we get into this really fine run of pleasant weather all the way through Saturday. The longer range up through the 3rd of August, keeping us warmer than normal and drier than normal too. So that would tell me we're getting out of this kind of atypical active pattern here. And this is Daisy. Actually, I don't know which is Daisy and what the other dog's name is because it wasn't on the description. But anyway, there are some cute dogs there you can check out, enjoying their little, oh look, they've got 2 baskets, but of course they want to be together there. What dog wouldn't want to be together with Daisy? All right, let's have a look at your questions. There we go. Okay, I'll try it that way. And nowhere, and there we are. Okay, now I got you. Let's see here. Rex Aish, chef rules. I don't know what my rules are. My rules are it should be a lot cooler than it is. Laura Gray, can't wait until it cools off. I think we are all in the can't wait till it cools off club. Beverly Sprinkle, is Tell City going to get any rain tomorrow? Yeah, I think you will, in the afternoon and evening. Rex Aish, where is the best state to live if you're trying to avoid extreme weather? Have you thought about the moon? You know, there's no air up there, but then again, there's no weather. So I don't know. You know, people ask me that all the time. My pat answer always, well, we'll go to San Diego. Well, you know, that catches on fire too, and they get wildfire smoke and mudslides and the like. You know, the Midwest is pretty much out of the question because we get 4 seasons and we get extreme on all of those. Maine would be nice, and Vermont, New Hampshire, upper Michigan, northern Minnesota. They tend to have fewer extreme events, I suppose, if what you mean by that is like tornadoes and so forth. They can get them there. Of course, they have lousy winters. I don't know. That's a great question. And you know, you go south, you got the hurricanes, right? Even if you go out of the country, you know, and live in Cuba or Jamaica or somewhere, hurricanes and hot, humid. I've heard Hawaii is nice, but then again, you got the volcanoes. So you see the problem here? The moon's looking better all the time, isn't it? The thing is, you want to be the first, well, you don't want to be the first one to the moon, but you'd want to be among the first to the moon to kind of stake your claim. You know what? July 20th, this is the date of Apollo 11 landing on the moon. Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong and Collins. I almost said Tom Collins. I can't remember his name. But anyway, orbiting. What was his name? Well, I'll think of it in a minute. Anyway, I wonder how many of you remember that. I remember it vaguely. I was 5 years old, and we went, I believe we went to my grandmother's house to watch it, although it wasn't in color. She had a color TV, but the footage from the moon was in black and white. But I do remember going out afterwards with my dad and looking up at the moon, and of course you couldn't see the guys up there, and being disappointed. That's hard to believe, isn't it? That's been what, 50, almost 60 years ago. Okay. Enough of my little sidetracks here. You're asking questions here and I'm babbling. All right, Steve Garrett, 80s feel cool compared to what we've had. Yeah, they do. You know, and in the spring it gets up to 80 and everybody's panting, and now 80 looks like, you know, we might have to get out a parka. Sharon Ball, it's so humid when I am working in the yard, I look like I got out of the shower. Yeah. I think I weighed like 10 pounds more from the sweat. I didn't shoot one of those videos today. It wasn't a pretty picture. I waited, you know, till 10 when it was not as wet out there, and it was still pretty bad. Cheyenne Hammond, should we wait to do roof work? Well, like roof work tomorrow? They might be able to get it in early. Yeah. I don't know how much work you're doing. If you're just doing a patch or if you're doing a tear off, or, you know, if it's a big job, they might hold off. It's not fun being in heavy rain when your roof is tarped. I've had that experience. I had a roof put on, and the roofer even joked. He said, oh, we're putting a roof on the weatherman's house. It better not leak. And so they ripped it off and then they tarped it because it was supposed to rain that night. We got like 3 inches of rain. No water in the house, and that was many years ago. Dan Lee, smoke aside, when will we have some clear night skies to get the telescope out? Well, you know, tomorrow might work. If we get the rain and the smoke doesn't plunge in here as quickly, you might have an opportunity tomorrow. Uh-oh, Heather wants to know, was there an earthquake? Not that I know of. I will check. Now you got me wondering. And you know, you can check it too. The best site to do that is the U.S. Geological Survey, which is usgs.gov. And it is offline. Well, that's not going to work, is it? Let me try another one. I do not see one anywhere near us. But I will double check here just to make sure. No, there have been none in the last 24 hours anywhere in the tri-state. There was a tiny one out by Jonesboro. Actually, it was to the west of Jonesboro, Arkansas, near Batesville. And it was a, what was it? It was a 2.5. So even those folks probably didn't feel it. Okay, let's see. How about this Morganfield, Kentucky weather tomorrow and the time to expect it? I think you're going to get some rain, maybe heavy, and strong winds. Time-wise, it would be after 3 p.m. Dan Lee sees a positive. The moon's weather would certainly be stable. Yes, it would. There's no wind. Just a lot of dust on the ground. Cheyenne Hammond's husband works in it all the time, just looking for an to keep him. He's a roofer. Oh my. Well, he deserves a lot of money, A, and I know he doesn't get that, and B, a lot of respect. Hopefully he gets that, and C, lots of rest when it's cool. I don't know how those guys do it, hauling the shingles up and all that stuff. Yikes. James Carver. I'm just a ray of sunshine. I know I'm just full of good news here. All right. Rex, do I remember Aunt Helen's restaurant in Vincennes? I do not. I remember Helen's restaurant, which was down here where Thornton's is, on Maryland and St. Joe. I've heard of it, I think. I can't place it. I'm not as familiar with Vincennes as I should be. Vincennes has always been in between wherever I lived or worked. When I worked in Terre Haute, we covered Vincennes, got down there from time to time, and of course here, same thing. We'd go up sometimes for the rendezvous, and we had different, I've done a lot of talks and things up at VU, played the organ in Green Auditorium a couple times. They didn't know about it, I snuck in. It's great they've got a Wurlitzer in there, 3-manual theater organ. Dick Ertl was the organist there for many. I don't know if he taught or what, but he donated this theater organ, and they put it in the auditorium. Angie Wampler wants the cool weather. Well, we're getting there, Wednesday. Oh, Kathy Rogers just chimed in. So that's Daisy May and cricket, and I'm guessing that's cricket down there. Well, I don't know. Oh, it says right on there. I could have just read the tag. So this is Daisy May, and that's cricket. Well, thank you, Kathy. I would have put your name up here in the header. When I save these, I save it by the pet name, not the owner name. I mean, we all know who the boss is, right? Tara McDaniel has a birthday dinner for son tomorrow, hoping the storms are done by then. By dinner time. Yeah, they might be ongoing. If you live, it depends on where you live, of course. If you're in western Kentucky, there might still be some rain going on at 6, 7, 8 o'clock. Okay? I've got something different for tonight. Now, normally, we do Science Corner here, and on Mondays, I like to show you an out and about. Last year, when I started the Out and About project, I did one on an air monitor here in town. And this one is not going to be as slickly produced as the later ones I did, because I was still kind of learning the ropes on putting a story together. But anyhow, I'll let you watch it here, and you can see how the air quality is measured. This station is out on Buena Vista Road in Evansville, kind of behind, would be behind the Schnuck store out there. So take a look. I'm Jeff Lyons, out and about today with Luke Wagner from the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, and you monitor the air monitors, right? That's your job.
Yeah, I take care of the air monitoring equipment in southwestern
what's
Indiana.
Behind us right now kind of looks like a spaceship out here on the north side, but tell us what this thing behind us does and why it's important.
Well, this is one of our shelters back here, and the inlets you see up on the roof are taking different air samplers for different parameters like fine particles and ozone, which is what most people will have heard of,
Sure.
but some other gas pollutants as well.
Yeah, and so this thing is constantly sniffing the air, I guess, if you will, and then reporting back, and that's how we know if we have an air quality alert or not.
Yeah, the idea behind it is to measure the ambient air pollution, which is the pollution you would expect to breathe, not associated with any kind of pollution source, but in general over the course of a day living in this region. So yeah, it's constantly or in segments monitoring the air to send that. A lot of it goes out onto the internet on our public website, but yeah, so the public can know about it.
Yeah. So is it simple as it just sucks in air and filters it, and then you have to look at what's in the filter? Or is there a little more to it than that?
Well, there's a little more to it than that. So if it's a filter-based PM 2.5, it has to get sent back to a lab and analyzed. Some of our newer technology can actually analyze it, going to send it out to the public, but it isn't quality assured until later on when somebody can get a look at it. So it's all different kinds of technology, but it's not simple. But I didn't create the samplers either. I just got to keep them running right.
Okay, so on the roof of this thing, what all do we have, and what are we going to see you looking at and inspecting here today?
Well, today I think I'm only going to be doing an audit of our continuous PM 2.5 PM10 monitor system. So I'll be checking the barometric pressure, the flow, the ambient temperature, if there's any leaks in the system. Those kind of things have to be done at least once a month, if not more often, to make sure that the data is valid back to the last audit.
All right. Well, Luke Wagner, we appreciate you letting us come out and about with you today at the air monitoring station in Evansville.
Thanks for checking it out.
All right, there we go. And thanks again to Luke Wagner for taking us around the air monitor out there at Buena Vista Road on Evansville's north side. It was kind of fun to do that. That was one of the first or second ones that I did. I think I did the water plant, and the sewage plant, and the air monitor were some of the first out and abouts. Then I kind of branched into animals and different things. Okay. Dan Lee's guess is the monitors keep pretty busy. Yeah, they operate 24 hours a day. And Sharon noting that with COPD, it was hard to breathe today. Yes, that's why we say for people to stay in if you can. All right, let me see if I have any more questions. Greenville, going to get hard with winds too. Yeah, I think Western Kentucky actually stands to get the stronger storms because of the timing. It'll heat up even more, and so the front will have more to work with when it gets down there. Let's see. I think I got everybody answered here that had questions. So I appreciate you watching the First Alert Weather Show here at 9 o'clock. I'll see you on 14 News at 10. And then we're in regular batting order. So Byron Douglas will be here in the morning, Arden over the midday, and I'll be back with you then during the afternoon and evening. I don't think I have anything else here to show. So with that in mind, stay safe. Thanks for watching and have a good night.